Hey everyone, it's Kai from Kool Collectibles, back again with another Hot Toys review. Sorry for the nasal sounding voice, I've got a bit of a cold that I'm trying to get over, so I'll try and get through this as quickly as I can. I finally got my Man of Steel figure in today. It's been a hell of a long wait, and overall it's pretty worth the wait. I did have a QC issue that scared me for a bit, but I'll go through that in a second. The box itself, the box art, I'll try and give you guys a better look at it. Box art here, it's not too bad, but it's not the shoebox style that I prefer. It's the, you sort of open it up and get the window look of him, and it's just a bit of a pain to sort of have it open the top and get the figure out. I prefer the shoebox style with the cardboard insert that they did for figures like the Amazing Spider-Man, for example. So I wish they would do that for more of their figures. But that's enough of the packaging. On to the accessories just quickly. You don't get too much with this guy at all, which is a bit disappointing, I guess. But you do get this key thing from the movie, which is the 1-for-1 replica. Now they sort of advertise this as a special gift for their MMS200 release, but I don't know why they had to advertise it as that. It was nice enough to include. I guess there aren't that much accessories to rave about. It's a nice heavy, I think it's metal, so it's got a nice heavy feel to it, and it does come with the tiny 1/6 scale version, which doesn't look too bad, I guess. And he comes with the set of hands, so you get the, I don't know, wide open action type hands, the flying hands, and the relaxed hands, and they're all pretty nicely painted and detailed, nothing too spectacular. And you get this huge stand. I personally think it's a bit too big, and it comes with this stand that can grasp him around the waist, and this time they've actually included this back support, which they didn't in the original Spider-Man and Superman figures, which adds a bit of extra support, and that goes on. If you're wondering why I've got the cape like that, it's because it's resting on that support. So if I just move him out the way, it comes with this metal sort of stand that you can sort of bend in any sort of direction, which is really the only way he can sort of get into a flying pose. But luckily enough, he's really stable just standing there, so you don't really need the usual crotch holder. So I'll probably just be using the stand to keep the cape up, since there's no wire in here. It's sort of just a felt sort of material. So I'll just move that out the way. So onto the figure. Head sculpt wise, I reckon it's a pretty damn good head sculpt. It's got the usual Hot Toys detailing. You gotta love those glassy eyes, and the paint app is probably the best in the business, at least compared to some of the sideshow head sculpts that I've seen. Now, probably a lot of you already know a lot of collectors out there getting this figure are doing the collar and cape mod. The cape, there's a customizer called Tony Mai who does some really nice capes, and he did some custom capes for the Keaton and Bale Batman figures, and he does a nice cape that drapes probably a bit better and matches the colour of the boots a bit better. I probably won't bother going down that route. And the corresponding mod that people are doing with the the collar here is that gap here isn't very movie accurate, I guess. In the movie, the collar is much closer to the top of the symbol, so people are taking that off, changing out the cape, and pretty much cutting away that bit and moving the collar down. Now, I've got zero skill in doing that, so I'm not even gonna try it on this figure, although it does make it look quite a bit more movie accurate. So if you're looking to do that sort of mod, there's plenty of videos out there and photos on OSR and so on that show the result. It does look great, so I'd probably, if you're anal enough and have enough patience and skill to do it, I'd probably recommend doing it. Now, the QC issue I had straight out of the box was, if you see these hip liners here, they're actually just glued onto this suit, and mine on this side was coming off, so I had to get a bit of craft glue, which luckily enough I had to get anyway to glue some of the buttons back onto my DX04 Bruce Lee's jacket. And I just sort of stuck it down. It's probably not perfectly down, but it's not sticking up now to any sort of great degree that it's noticeable, so I'm a bit happier with it now. Just a close look at the boots. Overall, the suit is, I don't know how Hot Toys does it, but they do some amazing outfits. So they've done it in a similar way to, I think, the Black Spider-Man suit. It doesn't have the same sort of sticky texture to that degree of the Black Spider-Man, but it's pretty much, I don't know if you can see there, it's pretty much a fabric suit underneath with this webbing pattern glued over it, and it's pretty movie accurate. It gives it a very nice sort of sheen, and yeah, it makes it look pretty close to what he looked like in the movie. And it's even got that sort of pattern on the boots, which is great. And if I just turn him around, zoom out a bit, so you see him from the back there, so it's got pleats in the cape already. If I just lift that up gently, you'll see that the cape is sort of sewn in, and so people are just cutting that away to swap out the suit. The other issue I had, which was pretty minor, was some people have, and mine had, a lot of bunching up on the gauntlets here, so you pretty much just had to take that hand off and pull the gauntlet off, which then you could then use a couple of tweezers, use a pair of tweezers and pull the suit down, stick it through the gauntlet, make sure you pull the suit tight, and then push the gauntlet back up, which removes the bunching up there. So articulation wise, the suit sort of gives me a bit of a worry in trying to move the suit. It is pretty flexible, so as you can see there, you just sort of have to gently move the suit around as you move the arms and so on. But he does have quite a bit of range of motion. You can sort of gradually move his arms up into the flying position, which I might do a bit later off camera and take a few pictures. The legs have all the usual articulation, so you can bend his knees. I guess the one thing I don't quite like is that even in a sort of static standing pose, you can sort of still see the knee joint. So you sort of try and stretch the suit around it to try and hide that joint as much as you can, but even then you really can't do that much about it. So and his ankles are articulated, so you can sort of do the ankle rock, and there are warnings not to go beyond 45 degrees and so on, similar to the Spider-Man figure, so just be careful of that. What else can I say that hasn't already been said? Overall, it's probably a great addition, particularly if you're a Superman fan. I don't know if it's because of the QC issue that I had, or I'm not as blown away by the figure as I thought I would be. I don't know if it was the packaging or whatever, but or maybe I'm just becoming accustomed to, you know, the quality of Hot Toys. But yeah, I guess I certainly wasn't as amazed by this figure as I was when I received this one. And this probably leads to another gripe of mine. If you look at that, the new figure just towers over the Christopher Reeve figure. I don't know what Hot Toys are doing with their new scale. Now I don't even know if this is accurate or not, but I always thought Christopher Reeve was taller than Henry Cavill. But I guess there's no matter if you're just displaying him on his own. Now I don't know if it's because of the way they redesigned the torso. It looked like, at least compared to the prototype, they extended this the torso to not make him so stocky, and in doing so, they've pretty much made him, you know, in real life, in comparison, about 10 or 15 centimeters taller. And I noticed that on the DX14 Joker figure, the head sculpt itself is also bigger. So I don't know if they're just making the head sculpt slightly bigger and adjusting the body size accordingly. But yeah, I guess it's a little annoying that he's so much bigger, and I guess if you put the DX12 next to him as well, it's even more pronounced. So that's another disappointment for me, and I knew that was coming, but just seeing it in hand sort of just highlights how big a difference it really is. But overall, the figure, particularly in some decent lighting and so on, just standing there, it definitely has a presence on the shelf. And I don't know how dynamic I'm gonna go with it. I mean, I never went too dynamic with the Christopher Reeve one either. And even though the stand does have these, you know, protective foams and so on, I'm not sure I want to push that suit too far. So I might put him up on the dynamic stand for a few pics, and that'll be it. So I think it's finally starting to reach Australian shores. I got this through Animarket, which for pre-order prices are pretty much the cheapest there is around. So definitely check them out if you can. But I think Game Traders and Pop Culture and those guys will all be getting their stock fairly shortly as well. So check them out if you're into Hot Toys, and who isn't these days, right? They're just getting bigger and bigger, and hopefully their quality continues to be maintained, because they do seem to be rushing out figures these days. But I hope you guys like that quick look. Definitely check out channels like Rhino Feroki's channel. There's a few others, I think. Even check some of the pictures on Kool Collectibles that Seth, some of the collectors like Seth and Brandon and those guys, they've all put up pictures of their modified Band of Steel figures, which do look pretty amazing. So check them out. Hope you guys like that quick look, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.